So welcome back, everybody, to our Children and Community and Education series here on YouTube. We are very fortunate to have Terra Goodwin here with us today. She's been an educator and teacher on the Bruderhof for 40 plus years, right, Terra?
If you say so.
I was wondering if we could start with how you first got into education.
All right. I first got into education because I enjoy being with children. The last thing on my mind was to be a teacher because I hated school as a child and teenager. And by the way, that was not in the Bruderhof schools. That was in public school. It had also to do with the turmoil in my own family life. But nevertheless, I made a hobby of hating school. But I loved being with children. I always got along with kids. And I never wanted to grow up. I wept bitter tears on my 10th birthday because I was two digits. Anyway, so this is my way of fulfilling that never wanting to grow up. I did 4 years of music education in West Virginia University, so I'm fully qualified to start anybody on any instrument and teach choir and orchestra and even band.
Could you describe how we integrate here in the Bruderhof other aspects into education, or maybe bring in practical knowledge and skills into our schools? Could you talk about that?
I think it's very important that each child has some area that they are good at, that they can blossom in. And our culture's education is heavily weighted toward the academic. But there are children that struggle with academics. And by the way, they're the ones that learn how to work hard in my experience. And some of them are really good in social skills. That will be the child who will go and greet the guest speaker or notice if the teacher needs a glass of water or something like that, or look out for the other kids. Then there's others that have great physical skills, ball skills. They will be they'll shine on the sports field. And others that are very creative, very artistic. And some kids seem to be good at everything. With the exception that if everything comes easy in school, especially academically, then when something comes along that they don't understand, they do not know how to go about it. They don't know how to deal with it.
Right. So Terra, I'm wondering what's important for a teacher working in a Bruderhof school to know? Because you've mentored a lot of teachers over the years that work in our education system.
I think that being a team player is very important. You have to be transparent. We usually work in teams, a brother teacher and a sister teacher, and you have to be open with each other. You have to say what you don't like. So that's an important thing. Another one is to have a living faith yourself and communicate that to your students. And which brings to the other topic of religion in our school. We don't teach religion as a subject or anything, but it's on me as a teacher to bring to my students, out of my own faith and conviction, the wonder of the Creator, the importance of faith. It can be in mathematics in nature, the Fibonacci series. I had an experience with an older teacher from Australia, Elizabeth Cannon, who came in and taught my 7th and 8th English class. And she said, how did God create the world? This was a grammar lesson, by the way. How did God create the world? Blank faces. He spoke. Imagine that there was nothing, just darkness and nothing. And then what did God do? He spoke, and wham! There was light. How dramatic was that? What big a bang was that? And then she said, what was the first task God gave to man? To noun the animals.
Interesting.
It was great. So that was an example to me as a young teacher of how you bring your faith into your subject matter.
I was wondering if you could tell us what you would perhaps tell parents who aren't from the Bruderhof and maybe considering sending their child to one of our schools. What would you tell to them, or what advice would you offer?
Well, first come and see what we're about, because as I said before, our schools are just part of the whole community. And it's important to understand that our belief, our church community, is who we are as a school as well. So that will be part of our teaching. Christmas and Easter take a lot of the school time at those different times of the year. Or if there's a significant happening, an illness or death or birth of a baby to one of the students or one of the staff, that is part of our school experience.
You were talking about the structure of education before and how, like you're saying right now, if there's a circumstance on the community that requires some spontaneity or some outreaching love or support, the children will be involved. Do you have any anecdotes about that, or further thoughts?
Well, it's very important. It's also how our children learn to think bigger than their little worlds. Mm-hmm. I'll give you one example. When my mother was dying, she had been an educator for decades. She was my role model. Mm-hmm. And the children would come and sing to her around her bed. Probably a different group every day from the toddlers on up through the school.
Yeah, and that's such a beautiful example of the integration between the community and education. Terra, could you talk about the non-academic component of our education system? For example, nature studies, or what we do beyond the classroom and the required subjects.
Yes, so our school is unique in that we squeeze all the academics into the morning, and then the afternoon is traditionally the science, which is outdoors, or art, music, dance, work experience. Right now it's spring, and the big afternoon activity is maple sapping. So that means collecting the sap and boiling it down and tasting it and all the things that go with it.
So having attended school on the Bruderhof, in a Bruderhof curriculum, I know the importance of group and kind of creating that mini community or that communal environment in the classroom. I was wondering if you could share with us your experience with that, or what you find important about the concept of group.
That is important, and it isn't unique to Bruderhof schools. I think I experienced it in public school, where I had a teacher that fostered that feeling of group. And in group is where you learn the give and take with others, to accept others as they are, learn compassion. If there's a class member that has a disability, to help them. And as in a community, direct speaking is very important, and not speaking behind each other's back is the same in a group of children, that they learn to speak to each other, to speak kindly to each other, and to apologize, to say sorry when they've hurt, and to recognize when they've hurt, and giving them the chance to apologize. I don't like saying, you have to say you're sorry.
Right.
It's not genuine. But sometimes a child needs to be helped to to see that their words hurt. It's easy if you push somebody down or punch somebody, that everybody can see. But they don't always recognize how harmful their words can be. And I loved what one of the men that I taught with did. This was like with kindergarten and first and second. When two of the kids would be going at it, he would make them stand face to face and say, okay, shake hands. Well, there these two characters who've just been spitting mad at each other, they'd stand face to face and look at each other and start laughing and get all silly when they shook hands, and that was the end of it.
That's a great way to solve problems.
Humor is so important when you're a teacher.
I'm very curious what experience or which other educators or people have made the biggest impact on you as an educator.
Well, as I said, my mother, who was an educator for most of my life, she was a very imaginative, creative teacher. Her classroom was not one where you just stayed sitting in straight rows in your desk. There was always activity, active learning going on. So I never had the opportunity of student teaching with anyone. As I said, I was kind of thrown in. So I would talk through my experiences with my mother and ask her all my questions. The other person who really impacted me was a third grade boy who was severely dyslexic, and I learned so much from him. You know, I had said before to children, yes, you can do it. You could do it yesterday. You just need to concentrate. And with him, reading was such hard work, and he worked so hard. And the next day, it truly could be gone. So I learned not to so quickly say to a child, you can do it, you just need to try harder, or you could do it yesterday, you just need to focus. I learned to listen to my students.
Thank you, Terra. We're very grateful, like I said, that you're willing to share these anecdotes and stories from your experience here on the Bruderhof. And we hope to see everyone for the next video. Like and subscribe, especially for Terra today. See you next week. Bye.